YouTube, Kemo Sabi here, coming at you with another video. So we're going to keep on with the topic there about the cloud scene rainmaking kind of weather control stuff. So this one's off of Sandiego Free Press webpage. I read it by Patricia Maxwell, posted on January 13th, 2016, with the topic The Rainmaker, Charles Hatfield and the Flood of 1916. Today's residents of Kailua Vista have much in common with citizens of 100 years ago. Make that 1,000 years or more. Southern California has always been an arid land, with cycles of drought interspersed with wet years every now and again. In December of 1915, San Diego's city fathers tackled the issue from a completely different angle. They hired a rainmaker. The impetus for their decision was the unfilled Marina Reservoir in the mountains 60 miles east of San Diego. A rock-filled dam had been completed in 1912, but the reservoir had yet to be filled beyond a third of its capacity. Other reservoirs in the area shared the same problem. None were filled and the city was growing. The rainmaker, Mr. Charles Hatfield, said, "I will fill the Marina Reservoir to overflowing between now and the next December 20th, 1916, for the sum of $10,000, in default of which I asked no compensation." The council voted 4-1 in favor of Hatfield, though a formal agreement was never drawn up. On January 1st, 1916, Charles and his brother Joel set up a tower beside Marina Reservoir and began work which they labeled as moisture enhancement using secret formulas that Charles never disclosed. He mixed and released various chemicals into the air. 4 days later, he reported rain at Marina. On January 10th, rain fell heavily for 24 hours, ceased for a couple of days, and then fell in torrents from January 14th to the 18th. The San Diego River overflowed, flooding Old Town and Mission Valley. Roads, railroads, and bridges were swept away. From Balboa Park, water streamed down the hill into downtown streets. At one point, 4 feet of water rushed down Broadway. By January 27th, the deluge reached epic proportions. In the South Bay Area, the water level in Sweetwater Reservoir rose until it overflowed the dam, carrying out a 50-foot chunk on one end. The Bonita Valley became a swirling mass of muddy water, taking out farms, houses, roads, railroads, and telegraph lines. The Sweetwater Dam had been a tourist attraction, first built in 1888. It was raised and retrofitted a few times until by 1915 it was the highest dam in the United States. A rail line brought sightseers to this concrete engineering wonder. A little further south, the water level in Otay Reservoir crept closer and closer to the top of the dam. Construction on the Otay Reservoir Dam had begun in 1888, spearheaded by Elisha S. Babcock, who built the Hotel del Colorado as early as 1897. James D. Schuyler, the engineer who had designed the Sweetwater Dam, warned that the rock-filled lower Otay Dam might not survive a severe storm. His prophecy came true. A report prepared for the Department of the Interior, entitled Southern California's Flood of January 1916, described what happens at the Otay Dam that Thursday. The rain on January 27th was extremely heavy, and by noon the water had risen so high that Mr. Woosty, in charge at the dam, deemed it advisable to open the outlet gate. This failed to check the rise, and it was realized that the dam would probably be overtopped before evening. Men were accordingly dispatched to warn residents in the valley to move to higher ground. Word to this effect was also sent out from the telephone exchange at National City. Most of the inhabitants took advantage of this warning. At 4:45 p.m. the water had reached the top of the dam and had seeped through and filled the boxes that were sunk in the top to allow an examination of the steel core. Water began running down the lower face on the east side of the dam at approximately 4:50 p.m. About this time, several spouts, or small streams of water, appeared on the lower face of the dam, in one instance loosening a large boulder, which rolled down to the bottom. From this time on, the destruction was very rapid. The lower face of the fill quickly melted away, thus removing the support from the core wall. At 5:05 p.m., the tension was so great that the steel diaphragm tore from the top at the center, and the dam opened outward like a pair of gates. The released water rushed through and filled the canyon to a point approximately 20 feet below the top of the dam. It required 24 hours for the reservoir to empty. A huge wall of water, variously described as from 6 to 20 feet high, rushed down the valley, covering the distance from the dam site to Palm City, about 10 miles in 48 minutes, carrying all before it. No one knows for sure how many lives were lost in the flood of 1916. Some say 20, others say 60. Many of the victims were Japanese farmers who lived in the valleys. In the days following the disaster, several Japanese people could be seen in boats searching South Bay for lost loved ones. A monument to the Japanese victims of the flood can be seen in Mount Hope Cemetery. The entire San Diego area was isolated from the world. Highways and railroads washed away, telephone lines destroyed. The only way in and out of Kailua Vista was by boat and from the Yacht Club dock at the end of F Street. Out near Otay Lakes is a road named after the dam's first caretaker, Rusty Road, and in the campground at Morena Lake, a plaque has been erected describing Mr. Hatfield's rainmaking work in January 1916. When my husband and I moved to Kailua Vista in 1977, and I learned about the hired rainmaker, I laughed. But the story stuck in my head. I began thinking of all sides of it. Tragedy of lives and livelihood lost. The comedy of people trusting in a rainmaker. So my first novel was born, When Rain Comes. Carrie, a school teacher, does her best to discourage Nate's interest in her. Then the Otay Dam breaks and she learns that Nate is missing. She desperately wants him to know that she loves him. But it might be too late. Nate could be dead. Patricia Maxwell grew up in Oregon and attended Walla Walla College in Washington State, where she started writing poetry, which was published in the school literary magazine. She met her husband, Burton, at college. After they married, he became a pastor, which led them to pastorates all over the country, and in 55 years of marriage, they have moved 25 times. In the mid-1960s, in a teeny town in Northwest Peninsula, with 2 toddlers, Patricia took a correspondence course in non-fiction writing, and since then she has authored 4 inspirational books and many articles, humor pieces, as well as the technical articles about her husband's world-class model railroad. When Rain Comes is her first novel. So there you have it, everybody. I read it by the Patricia Maxwell, the novelist who wrote her first novel. Sounds cool. And the cool information there about Charles Hatfield essentially being the first rainmaker. You know, he caused this crazy rain and then this crazy flooding happened and a bunch of people died. It sounds like mostly Japanese farmers and stuff. It's still horribly tragic. It doesn't matter what kind of people you are, you know, everybody's important. So yeah, there you have it, everybody. There's the guy who was possibly maybe the first cloud seeder, or the guy who had the chemical mix-up and stuff needed to create fake rain or geoengineered clouds. So maybe they got more information from him later down the line. But this town hired him and that happened. So pretty cool information. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you want to see more interesting videos from me. And please do comment, and you'll get a reply pretty quickly. And if you feel like sharing the video, do so. Thanks a lot, everybody. Kemo, Sabi out. We'll see you in the next one.